Hello everyone. I am going to teach you how to make some bruschetta today. Now, this is actually a non-vegetarian version because it has prosciutto in it, but as long as you take out the prosciutto, it is a very, very yummy and semi-healthy vegetarian meal as well. So let's get started. Yeah. So you will need some bread, some prosciutto, some mushrooms, some beautiful tomatoes, some parmesan, and bocconcini. If you don't have bocconcini, use some mozzarella, some garlic infused extra virgin olive oil, and some balsamic cream or balsamic glaze. So you're going to cut some of the bread in half and then half it again. I'm making this for me, so the measurements I'm using are just for one person. And I do actually have to admit that I tend to change the measurements every time, so don't be too worried about the measurements. Okay, so we're putting the bread into a baking tray or baking tin, and we're going to put it in the oven at 150 degrees Celsius with the griller on as well as fan forced. So we're going to keep that in for a little while, and while we're doing that, we are going to cut up all the veggies and everything else. Now, I really, really love all these tomatoes because they're so colorful, and by the end of it, they just look so beautiful on the bread. I prefer smaller tomatoes just because they are so much sweeter, but if you prefer just normal, juicy, big tomatoes, go for it. And like I said, it's all up to you how much you want to put in it. If you're someone who really loves tomatoes, put as many as you want. It's no problem at all. Look at all those beautiful colors, isn't it amazing? Alright, so now we're going to be cutting up the mushrooms. If you have whole mushrooms, I decided to buy some sliced mushrooms to make this easier. Give it a bit of a mix. Be careful not to cut yourself with your knife. And this is what it looks like now. Even more colors, whee! Now, I don't know how familiar you guys are with bocconcini. It's a type of mozzarella, and it's very, very subtle. Very, very similar to the taste of normal mozzarella, the stuff that you put on pizzas and things like that. And it comes in these little balls, and it's usually soaked in a kind of brine, and it's just absolutely lovely and works so well with the tomato. It kind of takes away a lot of the acidity from the tomatoes. So we're going to cut them in half. If you want, you can cut them into quarters to make them about the same size as the tomatoes, but I tend to just keep them big and chunky. They melt really, really well. Use about 4 to 6 pieces of bocconcini. Give it another big stir, and you'll see how it's coming along. So now we're going to drizzle some olive oil over the top of it. This is garlic infused olive oil. Don't be stingy with the amount of olive oil you put on it. You need lots and lots and lots. If you can't find any garlic infused olive oil in your grocery store, then use some chopped up garlic or minced garlic. I am such a fan of garlic, so I put lots of garlic on. But if you're not that fond of garlic, then just put a little bit in. So I've just put a bit of ground black pepper in. I'm giving it a really, really good mix. Make sure that every piece of tomato, cheese, and mushroom is completely covered, just completely coated with the garlic-infused olive oil. You can also put a little bit of red onion in this, which tastes really awesome too, but I wasn't in the mood to have red onion in it today, so I didn't put it in, but it is something I normally do put in to bruschetta. So if you're a fan of red onion or even just brown onions, then slice a bit up, dice it, and put it in. So the bread is almost done, and this is the last thing we're going to do before we pull out the toasted bread. We're going to take just one slice of prosciutto, and we are going to cut it up or just pull it apart into little pieces. So you only really need to put the bread in for about 5 to 10 minutes if the griller's on. If you are only using fan force, it might take about 10 to 15 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius. Now we're going to drizzle some more olive oil onto the bread. You don't have to put too much in. I tend to put a lot, as you can see. I love garlic olive oil. It's the best thing ever. First thing that goes on is the prosciutto. Lovely, lovely prosciutto. And the next thing is our bruschetta mix. Very carefully place it on. Don't worry if things start falling off. You want to pile it high, or as high as it can go. Just look at how amazing that looks. Doesn't that look delicious? We're not done yet. Take the parmesan, and you're going to just very, very, very carefully pour some over the top. Try not to knock all the tomatoes and cheese and mushroom off. Just pour a little bit on. If you still have some left over, just put it into a Ziploc bag. The great thing about this is that it keeps quite well. It keeps for quite a few days. So if you have a bit left, just put it in a bag, put it in the fridge. And if you're ever hungry and you can't really think of anything else to make, then at least you've got this ready. You just have to toast the bread. So it's been about 7 minutes now, and so we're going to be taking it out. Make sure you keep checking as you go. All ovens are different, as everyone knows, and so it might take me 10 minutes, it might take you 15, it might take you 5. So instead of burning, just make sure you keep checking. Carefully, without burning your fingers, transfer them to a nice plate. And this is what it looks like. Doesn't that look divine? You can see the cheese just kind of slowly melting. Now this stuff is balsamic glaze. You can buy it at most gourmet supermarkets. Just drizzle a lot on. It's very sweet and it just goes so well with the tomatoes and the garlic and everything. And there you have it. Bruschetta alla Jenzatron. If you guys try it, please take a photo of your creation and let me know what you think of it. That's amazing.